what's been your experience with any of the above working in?
Well, I'm still young, so I haven't quite hit the ageism yet, but it exists. Especially when I was on a show called Desperate Housewives, and it was one of the first shows where most of the leads were over 40. And it was a hit show, it was a global phenomenon, and that was very rare because women over 40 have very limited roles available to them. But there is definitely, underrepresentation of women in film and television. And I think a large part of that is because they're not behind the camera. They're not writers, there are not enough directors, there are not enough producers that are female. And so I say this with the Hispanic community too. People go, Latinos are underrepresented in television and film. And I said, well, then create the story you want to see. Write the story you want to hear. You can't just sit back and wait for that to happen.
I never know whether quotes are taken out of context, but I read that you said the best thing about being a woman is the power we have over men. Can you elaborate to our 85% male audience what you meant about that?
Let me tell you something. I don't remember saying that. I probably did. But what I find is that people tend to put women in boxes. And it's like, she's sexy, she's smart, she's ambitious, she's a mom, she's young, where women are very complex. And I think the greatest advantage we have is that we're always underestimated. And so what we can do is just continue to prove people wrong, because women are all of those things at the same time.
And possibly judged more harshly. I saw a Sandy Tosvik, you probably don't know who Sandy Tosvik is. She's a UK comedian, and she said recently, if you don't have kids and you're a woman, you're some heartless sad thing. If you do have kids and you work, you're selfish. But if you have kids and stay at home, you're lazy. It's a trap.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that conundrum?
I agree. I think it is exactly that. It's a conundrum because I think women are hardest on women. Women make those judgments, not men. Women are the ones saying, oh, you have kids, so you stay home, so you're not ambitious. And then the ones who don't have kids are, oh, you don't care about, other things other than yourself, And so, yeah, I think it's definitely a conundrum, and I think there's a conversation to be had on stages like this or on a world stage as far as gender roles and women's identity and how can we be all those things? And, Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In, kind of talks about that. And women can have it all. And I've been told women can have it all, just not at the same time. I actually hadn't realized, I probably should have known this, that you campaigned for Clinton and Obama and that you're heavily involved in politics. How did you get so politicized? I gather it was pre-fame that you got involved in politics. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. They think I became famous and became philanthropic, or I became famous and I became a political activist. I've always been a political activist since I was 17 and campaigned for Bill Clinton on his first term. And I was just hooked from then. I have a very philanthropic family. My oldest sister's special needs. She has a mental disability. My mother was a special education teacher for 30 years. My aunt was a volunteer in everything and dragged us along. So I knew that word volunteer very early in my life. Volunteerism is a very big concept in my family. And along those same lines, I always find in order to make or create sustainable change, you need the private sector and you also need the public sector, which is public policy and government and politics. And so that's how I got into politics, was needing permanent change with a law that was affecting special needs kids, or creating change for the poor people in our community that all of these charities can't possibly continue to service unless something systematically changed. So I find that my philanthropy led me to my political activism.
And presumably you supported Hillary Clinton in such an advocate.
I try not to talk about the Hillary Clinton of it yet, because we have a current president right now that needs a lot of help. And we have elections today in the United States, big elections happening today. And
we have such a great turnout in our national presidential elections, but yet nobody shows up for the midterms. You know, we have a significant lower percentage of people voting in the midterms. So we turn out to vote for the president of the United States, but yet we don't vote for the people who have to work for him or work with him. And so I think that that's really important that we fully participate at all times.
Obviously, you're someone who has used your celebrity and to highlight important causes, to raise awareness. But the flip side of fame, I'd just like to touch on. John Updike said, "Fame is a mask that eats the face." Does that ring true to you?
I don't know what that
How
means.
do you deal with it? Well,
what does that mean?
That fame is an insidious thing. That actually, the more you identify as a famous person, the more you lose your real identity.
I agree with that. First of all, nobody wants to hear a famous person complain. They're like, oh, boo hoo. But I do agree that if you allow fame to define you, that's a problem. See, I became famous very late in life according to Hollywood standards. I was 28, 29. I already had my bachelor's degree. I went to college. I was very set in my identity prior to this thing called fame. And so I think fame magnifies who you are and then tries to define it. And if you let the tabloids or the news or the media define you as America's sweetheart or America's party girl or this, and you kind of go, okay, that's what I am, and you just kind of go in that direction, that's when you can get into trouble. That didn't happen to me because I was so set in who I was, I really didn't, it just kind of falls off my shoulders.
Is there anything that you wish you'd known at age 13, setting out in life? Anything that you'd say to your 13-year-old self?
To my 13-year-old self?
Yeah.
13, God. I would just say, fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride. But no, I love all of the experiences I've had. I really, the failures, the successes, I think it's all part of creating who you are today.
Proudest achievements? What are your big boasts?
Other than my family, I'm so proud of my family. My education. When I went back to get my master's degree, I just graduated last year. I would go to Desperate Housewives during the day, and then I'd go to night school at night, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights, and I would be studying on set in between takes, and there was 100 times that I go, what the am I doing? This is really hard, and why am I doing this? I don't really need to do this, and it was hard and challenging in the best way, and I'm a curious person, so it really, that side of me is so insatiable that getting my education helped me kind of fulfill that part of me that I was like, I'm gonna see this through, I'm gonna finish it. And you guys know how hard it is to go back when you're older to get your education. You're just like, I'm too old for this.
So what's next? I know what's next at the summit. We're going to go and talk at the food summit about your documentary.
Yeah.
Food chain, but what next generally for you?
Oh God, I have no idea. No, right now I'm producing and directing a lot. I'm behind the scenes, behind the camera a lot, which I've been enjoying because I like the business side of our industry. And I probably will be returning to television next year in a new show. I don't know what it is yet, but stay tuned.
Thank you very much, Eva Longoria.